Yay Networks.
Hello. That's what my aunt says. Hello.
Happy Tuesday. Okay. I'm Emily.
Stop making me think. That just has to make me think again. I can't think right now. I'm very lost.
That's Laura.
I'm Laura, the lost one.
And this is Cheers to That Shit.
Cheers.
Should we do a cheers?
Yes, let's do a cheers.
Oh, okay. Boy.
Time to drink.
Laura, we had a moment. So, fun fact about us is that we're recording this episode in October.
Right.
Because, you just never know what's going on. We have a couple things coming up at this year that we're just not going to be able to record things.
Right.
So we were going through with our producer, Riley, and we were just like, okay, this episode's going to drop here. This episode's going to drop December 27th, like the next one. And Laura was like, oh my God, are we going to be here for that? I was like physically or like the episode?
Let's just point out.
And we don't record on Tuesdays, but the episodes drop on Tuesdays.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot to comprehend. I'm just trying to, stick with the facts.
You're just making sure I know what I'm doing.
Yes, exactly.
I get it.
That's exactly right.
I get it. Well, what else is going on? Are you watching anything fun? Are you doing anything fun?
Well, I had a house full this past weekend, which was great. Because I was puppy sitting. I was puppy sitting a dog that I'll be breeding. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we talked about that, Lulu.
Oh, we talked about that last week?
I think so.
Oh, okay. Well, then we'll skip that. I'm watching Jeffrey Dahmer, which is crazy. And I learned that, this is so sad, I probably shouldn't even say it.
Oh gosh.
His last victim was murdered on the day of my wedding. So while I'm like, dun, 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 Jeffrey Dahmer's eating somebody.
Jeffrey Dahmer's like nom, 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 nom.
Oh my God, that freaked me out. I mean, of course, obviously I was an adult and it was happening in my lifetime. It's not like I'm watching some documentary like before I was born, but it was weird to know that was happening.
While y'all were coexisting.
Yeah. It was a bit crazy. We won't go into all that.
No.
Let's talk about something more fun and exciting.
Like
Sure. What have you been up to?
No, I don't think anything. I'm trying to think. I don't think I did anything this past weekend. No, birthday parties. I'm living the motherfucking dream over here.
Oh, you're going to say the mother life.
That as well. The motherfucking mother life. No, nothing exciting. I'm also watching Dahmer and some other shows. I'm trying to think of anything. We finished Dairy Girls. You don't watch Dairy Girls, do you?
No. What's that about?
Dairy in Northern Ireland, London Dairy. It's actually it's hilarious.
Like cows and milking and dairy?
There's a city in Northern Ireland called Derry or London Dairy.
Okay.
And it's like, the song Bloody Sunday?
Yes.
That song is based off of the war that happened in Derry. Okay. So it's really cool. It's funny. It's like a very funny show, but it's like based off of like these teenagers living in the war times of Derry.
Oh, I might like that.
Yeah. You would. Yeah. You should branch out from HGTV.
Well, I mean, I do watch I'm watching Jeffrey Dahmer.
Murder.
Well, I like that kind of stuff.
I know. Branch out further.
Skip that.
Okay. No, but today, since this is getting close to the end of the year and everyone's prepping for 2023 and you start thinking about what am I going to do and blah, blah, blah.
Well, I mean, engagement season starts.
We're in it.
Yeah.
We're in it. It's we are.
I mean, it kind of, if you want to pinpoint it, kind of starts like at Thanksgiving. Yeah. So we're pretty darn close.
Yeah, we're in it. Biggest times to get engaged are Christmas and New Year's. Mm-hmm. So we're coming in hot.
Yeah.
Coming in hot. So we're going to talk about 2023 wedding trends.
Yeah. Karate chop in the back
2023.
of that.
2023, baby. So Laura's going to like this first one. We're going to start it off with fashion trends.
Woohoo.
The 80s are back, baby.
Yep. That's my era. All the Valley Girl. Like, oh my God. Like, yeah, the bows are back and so are the big puffy sleeves. Like, oh my God.
I'm loving it. Yes. Yeah, big puffy sleeves.
I mean, that was me, 100%. Big puffy sleeves, big bow in the back, bows in your hair, every kind of embellishment, pearls,
Your dress had it all.
It's had it all.
Your dress had it all.
We need to post a picture.
Done.
Well, no, I mean, we're talking about it, so we need to post a picture.
It up. Look on our Instagram, Cheers to That Shit podcast. That's going to be up on our stories. Yeah, you had the puffy sleeves, the long sleeves, you had the peplum, you had the empire waist, the high neck, you had the lace, you had embellishments, you had flowers, you had
all of it. And I had that like beaded headpiece that looks like a headband that was super popular.
Yep.
With like the big
and didn't you have
thing.
a bow on your butt?
Yeah.
Yeah. Literally,
it was every possible
trend in the 80s was on Laura's dress. You think of it, she had it. It was on there.
My dress was a pretty popular designer that I think might still be around. Eve of Milady. Eve of Milady.
I love your dress,
I don't know.
Milady.
I think that designer might still be around. I'm sure, her dresses don't look like that now, but
not anymore.
Yeah.
Well, they might now.
Well, they might.
They might now.
But I was just going to say.
Go for it. Yeah.
Like in the 80s, like my normal fashion, not my normal fashion, but the normal fashion that we were wearing was that very Victorian Jessica McClintock, that like prairie Victorian. Do you remember that? Well, probably not, but I do. And that was what was popular. Like I wore those, I had this blouse that I wore probably if I still had it, I'd be wearing it under this sweater vest today that I have on. But it was like, it came up this high neck and then it had this little ruffle thing. And then it was a puffy sleeve and it came down tight and it had a ruffle around my wrist. It was that very prairie Victorian.
Anne of Green Gables.
I mean, I don't recall what she looks like, but could have been. But anywho.
So, yeah. So Princess Diana, her dress obviously is very iconic.
Yes.
So it's not quite Princess Diana level. It's been scaled up a bit. She's had a glow up. Mm-hmm. So, but puffy sleeves are in. There's actually been a crazy increase on puffy wedding dress sleeves or puffy like wedding dresses,
which is crazy because not that long ago it was strapless. That sweetheart strapless.
Yeah,
everybody had that. You can even find a dress with sleeves.
No, yeah. So that has been a huge increase, and you mentioned bows, which are a huge influence off of the 80s. That's back again, not necessarily like the bow that's as big as your butt is back, but like the accents of it or having it in your hair or doing something.
It's just the updated version of the trend,
the 2023 updated version of 80s,
which I got into this conversation with my cousins a couple weeks ago when they were here, and we talked about how when something is trending, if you wore it once, then you shouldn't wear it again. Meaning, for instance, all those things that were popular in the 80s that I wore, they were styled for the 80s. So, fast forward, 30 some years later, and they're making a comeback, but in a different way. But, at that point you're 30 years older, so you shouldn't be wearing that trend again. Maybe in the updated version of it, but like I'm not going to go out and buy crop top and mom jeans and look like a 20-year-old. What the 20-year-olds are wearing.
No, I think there is like a grown-up, matured version of that.
I think so too. But I think the point of that is if you wore the trend in your 20s, you don't wear it.
Don't do it again.
Don't repeat it for what the 20-year-olds are wearing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify.
Just in case
you were wondering.
So that is, and you mentioned strapless dresses, which that was a huge trend in like the 2010s, like strapless. And then it got to be just like a strapless nothing, no offense, just very plain.
Nothing, no embellishment,
scaled back.
No straps, no sleeves, it was like an A-line or a sheath.
It was like, no offense again, but nothing exciting.
No, it was
no bridal
simple.
aspect. So
very simple.
They've taken a little bit of a turn now, and wedding suits for women are becoming very trendy. So, it's a little bit sleek, it's chicer than just having nothing, but it's still like that classic, simple, but a little bit more.
Well, it's like it commands presence.
Yes.
It's like, here I am. It's like the, sexy lawyer kind of sexy secretary kind
like
of
that,
look.
like slim pants.
The simple strapless dresses of the 2010s were very sweet and innocent. Boring. But the suit trend is very like, boom, boom, here I am. I'm walking down the aisle. I'm doing this thing,
Ryan actually went to go get some suits. Well, we went in for a suit and now he's walked out with 3. But he was the guy that we were getting the suits from. He was telling us that he actually just finished an order for a suit for a woman.
Yeah.
And he said, we're having so many more women come in now for suits.
Just something very structured.
Yes.
Very, yeah.
But it can also be very feminine, which I love.
Yeah.
And then the last thing that...
I mean, there's nothing to me, this will sound, I don't know, weird, whatever. There's nothing more like, I don't want to say sexy to me, but like inspiring than seeing a woman in a very professional looking,
like a little feminine, I think it's
a little
sexy.
feminine, but very, I don't even want to say corporate. It's not the right word, but you know what I mean? Like just very fitted, structured, boss ass bitch. Boss ass bitch.
Suit. Yes. He and she. It makes me think of like Sex in the City, like Carrie when she wears that suit to Stanford's wedding. It's very fitted, structured, and it's like,
here I am.
Yes, queen. Look
this
at
is
you
I'm
fucking
here.
owning it.
Exactly.
How I'm holding my hand. Why do I do this? Oh my God. It's like, okay.
Oh gosh.
Before we talk about this next trend, we're going to have to like start playing a game. I have a problem. If you're watching us on YouTube, I literally hold my mic. I'll catch myself holding my mic like I'm holding a little baby mouse.
I don't even know how you do that.
I don't
Isn't
know
that heavy?
why. No, this is just like I sit here and talk like this, and then I think about it, and I'm like, I slowly am just like, okay, close your hand and grab the mic like a normal fucking human, and then like I'll like move my hand over here, or like I'll do something, and I just start talking like this. It's like who does this?
Yeah,
me.
You're in your head now.
I know. I was thinking about the whole episode. I don't even know what we've just talked about. But so the last thing that we'll talk about with wedding trends are pearl details, which I think
pearls.
is so sweet. And it doesn't have to be like the full embellishment. Like you have the beaded bodices. It doesn't have to be all pearls. It can be accents or earrings or shoes. It can be just like a simple touch in your hairpiece, whatever.
I think pearls are so dainty and feminine, as opposed to, not that I don't love a good like, crystal and shiny embellishment, but it's very toned down.
It's like a little
like a sweet little kiss.
It makes me think of Audrey Hepburn and very like classic, subtle, but like yes,
like I'm not too good for embellishments.
Yeah, but like I'm going to be subtle about it because I don't need you to know how fabulous I am.
Right. I already know that.
Fabulous.
I already know that.
I already know it. So yeah, 80s, which I do love. And what I think is crazy too is that the 90s fashion is coming back on the streets. But 80s is like killing it in the wedding.
I've been seeing a big mix of 80s and 90s because that was like my time. My high school, college years were mishmash of the 80s and the 90s. Yeah. So, and it was a lot of style differences, but it's just weird to see a lot of the 80s and the 90s because they're very different.
Yeah. 90s is more grunge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like punk rock kind of. I just think of all the European David Bowie, Wham, all those bands that I like loved growing up. But the 90s fashions are just so different from the 80s. But yeah, we're seeing more of that on the street, in everyday fashion as opposed to in the wedding industry, which is a lot more 80s.
Yeah. Love it. Okay, let's take a break. I'm going to try and get control of my hand, and we're going to come back and talk about some more trends.
Hi.
And we're back.
Here we are.
Second trend we're going to talk about, and kind of includes the wedding party-esque thing.
Yeah, I love it.
One thing that really came out, a lot of this is coming out of the pandemic. I know where people are over it. We're over it. We're all done talking about it. But these trends, the pandemic, whether we like it, shifted a lot of things.
Yeah, it forced us to let go of some things that we couldn't do and figure out how to adapt to what we could do.
Right.
And some of those things are really cool, and they have just become trends that we have continued to see ever since.
Yes.
Because they were fun.
Because they were fun. And, one of them is people started using the word wedding party more, which should have been used, in my opinion, forever instead of bridal party, because wedding party is more inclusive.
Right.
It isn't limited to one sex or the other.
Right.
And the reason is because during the pandemic, the weddings were smaller. So you had to really be concentrated on who your friends were, who you really wanted around you.
Like who you wanted to stand up with you, because you only had so many people you could have at a gathering. And it's such a cool trend because we saw, brothers standing up next to their sister, and just friends standing up next to friends, whether they, whether they were the same sex or not the same sex. And so we heard a lot of groomsmaids, which I think is a cute word.
Or mates of honor.
Mates of honor.
I really like that. There are a ton of different ways that people are now identifying themselves in the wedding party. But I love, we talk about being authentic to your couple, to the wedding so often, and we're going to continue to talk about it in this episode. But it's just something that, like, if you're my friend, or if you were Ryan's friend,
right?
And I mean, I knew you through Ryan,
right? And
he wanted you to be part of the wedding, but I was like, well, I already have my people. Like, I don't, I don't want to have to drop one of my people.
Well, and have your soon to be husband's friend who you're not that close with, because typically the people that you have stand up on your side are the people who are closest to you.
Yes,
and same for your partner.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of, well,
just have her stand up with you. I don't give a shit. That's your friend. Do you?
No, I think it's great.
I love it.
I do too.
So we've also talked about the joining of celebrations and not having a single sex celebration. We're starting to see that really. See, guys, we know what we're talking about
with the bachelorette,
and like
party
the
weekends,
showers and stuff.
Yes,
like,
couple showers.
Okay, we're here. We were ahead of that before it came out. Fucking hand. Before it came out.
I think a lot of this too is just the shifting from the millennials to the Gen Zs. Not that the millennials couldn't or wouldn't do that,
but now it's just being more accepted.
It is being more accepted. And I think a lot of the Gen Zs that are coming into that marrying age are just like, we're all friends.
Yeah,
we want to do this. Yeah. And that, I think that's very authentic.
I think it also stems from traditionally, and I'm quoting here, back in like the 50s, 60s, 70s, it's very faux pas for men and women to be friends. Like, you go into, like, if your grandmother was having a party, you would go, women hang out in the kitchen, men hang out in the living room, or whatever. Like, it's very separated. And now, even as
cultural too.
But I mean, it's very just like, I want to hang out with everyone. Like, we're all friends. And the older I've gotten, the less and less, even in my friend groups, like, the less and less it's very separated, because everyone wants to be in the kitchen because that's where the food is, or everyone wants to be in the living room because that's where the TV
that's where you're playing games, or whatever. Yeah. When I first met Dom's family, that's how it was.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a Northern or Italian or what, but I had been obviously in college, so I had been partying with everybody, all my friends, and then, we would get together, and like his aunts and all the girl cousins, like, they'd all be in the kitchen making dinner, chit-chatting and talking, and all the guys were downstairs.
It's like, no, you can't go in there.
Watching football and drinking beer. And I'm like, well, that's what I want to do. And they're like, no, my aunts and stuff are upstairs. I was like, oh, so I can't be down here?
Like, no.
I had never really experienced that until then.
Yeah. So that's
glad to see we're not doing that anymore.
Glad that that's over. So yeah, that's something that's changing, which I really love that. And again, it's just people are being more authentic to themselves, to their friend groups. Also, with having the number of guests at your wedding through the pandemic, that has changed as well, because
you're forced really to cut that guest list down.
But it's continued to stay. Weddings are now at about a 30% decrease of where they used to be.
Well, I think we were kind of like, oh, okay, yeah. So let's just invite the people that we actually know and that we're actually friends with. Gosh, when I got married,
instead of having the pressure to invite my mom's boss's whatever.
When I got married, like half of the church, and I went to church, where my parents took me, but half of the people that were guests at our wedding were all the older people that were my parents' age that were their friends at church. I didn't even know half of those people.
It's like, I don't want to invite them.
Yeah. I was very particular at Jackie's wedding when it came time to put our guest list together in terms of who mine and Dom's friends were, because we have tons of vendor friends and just, a lot of friends too growing up. I made sure that I only invited people that Jackie knew.
Yeah, I barely made the cut.
Had an influence in her life. Well, you sort of kind of had that job thing, so
I got in on a technicality.
I will admit you were a little bit of a last minute addition.
Oh, I know. I didn't even get a wedding invitation.
Well, I mean, we just hired you. We didn't even. No, I'm going to get into this because people are going to be like, "What a bitch she is."
They think that anyway. Just kidding. I'm kidding. Good God.
All right, we're just going to reiterate here. No, you just started working for us in like November, right?
Yeah.
And Jackie had just gotten engaged. The wedding was the following June. So as we were getting, at first it was like, I don't even know if I sent invitations. It doesn't matter. Whatever.
It's because we shared an office. I started helping you.
As we started getting closer and closer to the wedding, I said to a former employee that was there that I had known longer, I was like, I really feel like I should invite Emily because I was doing so much at work that was like, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? Jackie wants this. Jackie wants that. And you were giving me a lot of input and just opinion about the wedding. And at one point I just remember thinking, oh, I really should invite her to the wedding because it'd be really rude.
Out of pity. I should just invite her out of pity because she told me that I should do a mimosa bar, and I did, and she wasn't invited to that party either. So, fine, I'll give her alcohol at my daughter's wedding.
And the moral of the story is Emily came to the wedding, so there you go.
But no, seriously.
But other than Emily, we were very particular about the people that we invited. We wanted to make sure they had something to do in Jackie's life.
But what I found interesting was that regardless of the amount of people decreasing again by 30%, which that's a big significant decrease, the cost of the wedding is not.
Right.
And the reason is,
tell me,
because people are wanting to give the guests the experience. They're investing more into the overall experience of their wedding.
Right. Well, I think it was a natural
progression.
A natural progression because it's like, okay, we can't have all these people. So what can we do? Because we had this budget, but we're having less people, which is less food, which is a lot of things that help the budget go down. So what can we do to make their experience even better?
Well, and that's why these specialty vendors have really been coming into trend as well.
Because it afforded the couple to do things they may not have been able to do before. Yeah. Like, oh, okay, well now we could maybe have a videographer, or now we could have a getaway car.
Right. Or even just like a late night dessert bar, or like the fun things that you're like, you see it and you're like, oh, I can't do that if I'm going to have 150 people.
Right.
But if I'm going to have 70 or whatever, like I can do that now.
I think true that a lot of those things.
That's not 30%. I don't do math.
I think too, a lot of those things weren't even really out there. I mean, late night desserts wasn't really a thing. It didn't.
No,
I think
that's
it was
why
kind
it's
of
trending.
Born out of COVID is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we were saying, oh, I'm having 150 people, so I can't do the late night snack. I can't do the getaway car. Like they weren't even really out there.
Yeah.
And they just were literally born out of necessity.
Yeah. Also Bridgerton, which have you watched Bridgerton yet?
I'm not commenting on that because apparently I don't watch any of the shows you watch.
So Bridgerton, I'll give you a summary.
Hey, isn't that a Shonda Rhimes? No. Yes?
I have no idea.
Okay. I think
Grey's Anatomy is.
Well, I know that.
It might be. You know what? Bridgerton is a great show.
Okay.
And it's, you know the concept of it.
No, but I've heard good things about it.
So Bridgerton is still a very much an influence on weddings, which I love. It's, I saw this one article, she was calling it her eggshell colors. So like a light blue, light pink, light purple, those colors for bridesmaids dresses are flying off the shelf.
Yeah.
Where it used to be like the royal, the greens,
the jewel tones,
the grays,
very
like
deep saturated colors.
And she's like, those are still popular, but our eggshell colors are flying off the shelf.
Yeah, we've just added 22 words to it, like digital purple.
Yeah, well, that's the color for 2023.
I know, right?
The Pantone color for next year is digital lavender.
Oh, digital lavender. Sorry.
Yeah, digital lavender. So everyone, that is the color. So
it's very Eastery.
It is very Eastery, but I feel like with the right accents and the right accessories and the florals, yada, 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 you can make that last. Like it could be a very winter color.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
If you grade it up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not your 1980s lavender.
No. Oh, no, it is not.
Well, let's just say it is the 1980s lavender. It's just paired and put with things that make it more contemporary.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I like that. And yeah. and I just totally lost my train of thought. Oh boy. But no, I think, and then I read something else that was like, because what was the color this year?
Very Perry.
Very Perry, which is blue.
It's like a periwinkle. Like I call it like a hydrangea.
Yeah. Oh yes. Like a bluey purple.
Yeah.
So they were saying that has become something too of like making your dresses for anyone that's wearing a dress to be your something blue.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Isn't that cute?
That's a fun
Because I
trend.
don't think we talked about this as well. I don't think
did.
people are really doing the something old, something new, something
I mean,
borrowed, something
if they,
blue.
do you even know what all that means? I don't even know what that means. I mean, I know what it means, but like you do it, but do you know why you do it?
No, I didn't do
Heck
it.
no. Do you know about putting a penny in your shoe?
No,
A
that's
copper penny?
disgusting. That's dirty.
I'm just saying some of these trends, like we just blindly do them and we don't even know why. But I think that's really cute about the something blue with the dresses.
I do too.
I think it's very sweet. Most people do the garter, but
I didn't do that either.
Oh,
Not doing none
you're
of
just
that.
a rebel.
Not doing none of that. None of it. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Do you have anything else to add into the wedding party trend?
I mean, you know,
No.
I just think no.
Okay. We really have our shit together today. So, like I said, we know what we're doing. We're going to take a break. We're going to get ourselves composed. I swear we'll be better on this last chunk of it.
Oh no, that was good.
Okay, we're not bringing it back in seriously. We're just here.
Oh yeah.
We're just here. We've gone
We're
off
here.
too far. Too far we've gone
Oh,
off.
look at me. I'm throwing things around on the floor.
Oh boy. And you're putting things back on the why?
I can't. Don't pay any attention to the lady behind the curtain.
I don't know. That's like my one thing. I just have a problem, you guys. It's fine. All right. So the last thing we're going to talk about is on the actual day, the big day, trends that are happening. I mean, I guess everything else is happening on the big day too, but specifically too.
Yeah, things that are have just really kind of came out of COVID. We talked about that a little bit, and I know it's like, no, nobody wants to talk about that anymore. But there were a lot of things that literally went away. Literally went away. And a lot of things that we had to do, or not we, but you know, couples getting married had to do because of restrictions and all kinds of other things. And fun fact, they became trends.
Yeah.
And they became really fun things that have shifted the wedding industry. And I think a lot of them are really great. And if they weren't, we would have kind of gone back to some of the other stuff, but we haven't.
No.
So it's been a huge shift in the industry altogether.
So one thing with that is outdoor weddings, which in America seems like, yeah, we get married outside. In certain parts of the country where it's not as popular, probably where it's more rainy or it's hotter,
Colder.
yeah, it became like during COVID, you could only get married outside.
Right.
But in other countries, it's not normal. I brought up Brian's sister's wedding. I'm going to bring it up again in a minute, but bringing it up now as well. I mentioned again, she got married like a couple episodes ago. I say a couple, I don't know, past episode, she got married in Northern Ireland and she got married outside and it rains every day. Every day, maybe not all day, but every day. And people thought it was so bizarre that she was getting married outside. Like that's not a thing that people do over there. And in a lot of countries, like it's just not normal. But because during COVID, you could only get married outside.
Yeah. People became very creative.
Yes.
Very, what's the word I'm looking for? Not intuitive, but whatever.
Something.
Doesn't matter. Just creative. Creativity took over and people found a way to make it more than like, well, damn, I got to get married outside because I got to stay 6 feet away from everybody and wear a mask whatever. I don't know
what else
I don't know what I'm talking about. But the outdoor wedding, it totally made it super popular.
Yeah. And it's become now like is it going to be outside and big, outside and intimate? Like just the possibilities with that, I think are really cool because again, in America, like we've been doing that for years.
Well, yeah. And especially in North Carolina where, you know, there's only a couple of months out of the year that you really wouldn't want to get married outside. But I just feel like it used to be like, oh, we're going to have an outdoor ceremony. Oh my God. You have to have an inclement weather plan.
Yep.
You where are we going to go if it starts to rain? Where are we going to go if it's too cold? Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? And now it's like, oh, we're doing it outside and you think about all of those things prior. And so you make arrangements for that.
Yeah.
And it's made for some I've seen just so many cute things like beach weddings, putting flip-flops out for your couples to walk out on the beach. Or if you're getting married outside and it's cold or it's in the winter, having wraps or pashminas or you know, blankets for your guests to have wrapped around them. It's made that like a normal thing and not a like, oh, we're going to have an outdoor
And that
wedding.
again goes back to, okay, we're having 30% less guests than we had originally anticipated. We're not lowering the cost, but we're able to put in and invest in the guest experience.
Yes, which I actually love that.
I do too.
Love that.
So another thing is alternative entertainment. So outdoor games, that's been big. That's big in the South, I think.
Yes,
I'm not
like
sure.
cornhole.
Yes.
Yeah.
But like, again, staying true to the couple. So if that's something that y'all are really into, or like having a bigger music ensemble instead of just like a band or a DJ, like having something more involved. That's a big thing too. Or like flash mobs, dance production, like those are big things. Again, going back to the guest experience. We're living in a world where experience matters. People want experience based.
It's driving.
things.
Well, I mean, don't you think, this might be a little off topic, but don't you think that a lot of that came from COVID after being trapped in your house
For 2 years,
and not being able to go anywhere or do anything? And it was like, yes, some industries came back and some events and things came back, but we've all kind of like, what can we do to have this great experience and make this fun? Because we've been cooped up in our houses forever. So yeah, I mean, that's just one of those examples of finding something positive out of something negative,
right?
Which is, I think, so important.
And again, bringing up my sister-in-law's wedding again, she had a river dance group come, and it was like 20 or 30 of these dancers come, and they did a huge, like I say, a huge performance. It was like maybe 5 to 10 minutes, but then they got people from the actual like guest. And I was like, pick me. Like, I was like, I want to be involved in this. And I did, like, it was so fun, but it was something that like, that's not a normal wedding experience. That's not something that.
Yeah. I went to a friend's wedding quite a few years ago now, pre-COVID. And she was marrying a guy who was from an Egyptian background, and they had like belly dancers and all kinds of really cool dancers come to their wedding. And I think that's just more kind of a cultural thing, but it sort of plays into that
I would have
experience.
Gotten up and like, dun, 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 dun. I don't know what I'm doing, but I would have gotten into
they were more performers.
Oh,
they really didn't pull people into the audience or anything, but it was pretty cool. Yeah. It was entertaining as a guest. I was like, wow, that was fun.
And that's something that's so not it's not a typical thing to expect at a wedding. Like the surprises that couples are now giving their guests to.
Well, I think there's a lot of specialty vendors that fall into that too. We had an Italian ice little vendor guy come to Jackie's wedding, and it was hot. It was June, and so he set up at the ceremony
for an after ceremony treat.
No, not after. Like you could get an ice while you were going down to sit for the ceremony. So you got
I got mine after.
Oh, well.
I did it wrong. See, that's why I was barely invited. I don't even know what I'm doing.
Maybe you were just like, you can't have an ice before, you have to get yours after.
Yeah. He was like, you clearly, I need to see if I have enough here because you barely made the cut.
But yeah, some people got them before, some people got them after. But yeah, that was fun. And I think photo booths obviously have been around for a while, but that's a total experience. Yeah. And super fun.
One other trend that I thought was interesting, which I'm kind of glad because we've talked about my love of flowers, but flowers. Couples are wanting to pull back on what they're doing with flowers. And I mean that in the sense of it used to be this big, lavish ordeal with flowers flowing over the tables and having these huge centerpieces and having flowers here and there and here. And now couples, and it might be because they do want to do more experience for the guest, and the flowers don't offer any type of experience. They are pulling back and wanting a more traditional, like simple centerpiece with just here's this, and what they're doing instead is having one big flower installation. So whether that be like we've all seen the champagne walls with like the flower, so whether that be part of it or whether it's just something hanging from the ceiling.
We had a big installation for Jackie's wedding.
But y'all had flowers all over the fucking place.
It was like
walking into a goddamn garden. It was like, I mean, it was beautiful, but that's people now, weddings now are like, that's a lot. I'd rather spend this money on having a midnight snack or having something
well,
else.
I think it depends. We talk about expectations all the time, and I think it depends on that. But yeah, Jackie's floral installation was over that big fireplace, and it was like this big, huge moss wall with a big H for her initial and everything. So yeah.
Did I ever tell you Ryan was like, you should just add that to our wedding album because H Hayes, like we'll just like
pretend like it was yours.
Just take a picture of that and like put it in our wedding album. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? Like I personally, I love flowers.
So he was impressed by.
Well, I mean, it was beautiful. Yeah. But like for me personally,
I'm glad to touch somebody.
Yeah. The untouchable
that
Ryan.
Was expensive.
You're going to keep that H, bitch. But like I just wasn't into flowers. Like it just wasn't anything. Like
we talked about that. You didn't even want a bouquet.
Yeah. Mom was like, you have to have flowers in your wedding. I was like, God, I don't have flowers. But so, yeah, I think it's interesting now that that's something couples
you see those backdrops and the arches, like where people have their ceremony. They're really cool, like installations of things, and they become Instagrammable moments.
And then they move those into the ceremony,
right?
Yes,
and then people want to take their pictures in front of them.
Yes. The last thing is sustainability. About 30% of couples are now making their sole decisions based off sustainability, and a couple of these things include like eco-friendly favors.
Which favors?
We can talk about that. I think both of us are on the same page of like what a waste of time and money. Like just don't. That's the episode on wedding favors. Don't.
Okay.
Do something else. And then what is it? Upcycling or what is that? Is that what it's called?
Well, yeah. I mean, gosh, people pick up stuff on the side of the road, and there's a million TikToks and reels about I sanded it, I did this, and it looks beautiful in their house. But people are doing that for just anything to have at their wedding. So upcycling is huge.
And one of my friends actually went to a wedding this past weekend, and the bride like redid her mom's wedding dress and like altered it to be a little bit more modern, to be a little bit chic, but she put in like $300 into the alterations for it.
There was a reality show on
I bet there was
TLC about that. Well, it wasn't really, I guess it was reality. You had a choice. You could either they took the mom's or grandmother's wedding dress.
Was this David Tutera?
I don't think it was David Tutera, but
I remember this.
Anyway, they upcycled it to make it better. Or you tried on 3 different options that were new, and you picked it out. So it either came down to the one you picked,
or your mom's,
or your family heirlooms upcycled.
Yeah. But I thought it was very interesting. Like if you look at the pictures, you can see like obviously there are similarities, but then it does. I know what's wrong, y'all. My hand, I swear, we're just gonna have to start doing like a count. Like how many times does Emily hold her mic like an imbecile?
I think you should put $1 in the.
We should have like a
alcohol fun jar for the podcast.
Like every time, I swear,
I will never have to buy alcohol again, ladies and gentlemen. Emily will be footing that bill.
I got you. I don't know why I do that. What? I just can't. I don't know. It's because I'm so delicate and proper. Fuck.
Oh my God.
No, but you could obviously see like the changes of the wedding dress. Like it was more modern, and it did look really nice. But if you had a picture next to it of her mom's dress, you could be like, okay, yes, I see where that's coming from.
Yeah, I mean, I think sustainability is a great trend, and I think it's very important in our world today. But I also think, just being super sentimental that I love the idea of taking something old and making it new again, or making it look better.
They're also doing, which we talked about, which you don't like, but renting your wedding dress now too.
Well, it's not that I don't like it. I think it's a great option for someone who wants that. I don't think it's ever going to replace going out and buying a new dress, because we talked about this, something old, something new, something barn blue. I think new, for people who follow that tradition, new is always the dress.
I agree. Yeah.
And I think there's just something about having a new dress. I mean, there were things, I wasn't one of those people that wanted Jackie to wear my dress, but I did take things off of it and apply it to other areas of the wedding decor, but I wanted her to have her own, you know, so I think it's great. And I think it's great for sustainability and for upcycling, and especially for people who are, that's something that isn't super important to them and they need to save money on it. But, I think it has its place.
Yeah, no, I agree. Another thing that people are doing is on the exits, instead of throwing out like rice, because that's actually very bad for the environment, they're throwing out like the economical, like confetti, the disintegratable, that's the word I'm looking for, not economical, or rose petals or something ecological, economical with your money, ecological with the world. Okay. We learn lots here, but people are doing they're just finding all these different ways.
Yeah. Be more environmentally friendly.
Right. Which I think is actually really cool,
responsible,
and very responsible for couples. And
who'd have thought that my kids who are Gen Zs would be behaving in that way? But you know what? Good for you.
I think that it's like there's certain things that could save money with that as well, like invitations. People are doing more emailed invitations, which like these evites, which I love. I have a love-hate relationship because I love paper. I do too.
I love touching and feeling.
I like being able to like hold on to it. That's, I will say, like cards are the one thing that I am sentimental with. So I do like that, but I also do love having that evite because it's easy when you get to the wedding, or if like, when is their wedding? You pull it up on your phone. You're like, all right, there it is. And then you can do it. Like, so it's a catch-22 with it, but
I think it just depends on the generation of the kids and kids. Why do I say that?
All those kids.
The generation of the people that are getting married today. And, we talk about moving through the generations and how we're kind of cruising through millennials into Gen Zs. And for me, that happens to be the age of my kids. So it's interesting to see the things that are important to them that they want to make sure are part of the wedding, but they also have a little bit of the things they want to ask me, well, what would you do? Or what does this mean? So it's a nice little mix of
like tradition
new and old.
Yeah. I like it.
Me too.
Okay. That was good.
Yeah. I think it's so too. I think it's so too. Oh, Mario.
Boy. I think we both need naps at this point.
I think so too.
All right, guys, that's it for us. Follow us on YouTube.
Please follow us on YouTube. We're so fun to watch.
You can count my hands.
I think if you watch us, it'll make a lot more sense.
We might be funnier if you're watching us. YouTube, cheers to that shit. Shit is S !! T. Instagram and TikTok are Cheers to That Shit podcast. Like, subscribe, and submit your wedding stories. If there's a trend that you've done and you loved, hated, and at this point, any story, we're accepting them all. Send them all our way. Stories at cheerstothatshit.com.
And we're launching our website, our new website.
We've already launched it at this point. This is coming out in December.
Well, just in case you didn't know, we launched our website, Yeah, right. Okay. And we should have said that in the episode, I don't know, weeks ago.
17 weeks ago, yeah. But we've launched it now in case you have missed it. www.cheerstothatshit.com.
Where it'll be so much easier to submit that story.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Cheers.